Hey, what's up everyone? It's Andrew here from Offshore Audio, bringing you tips and tricks to make you a better live sound engineer or get you better results at live events. Today I'm going to talk about something that I hold very dear to me, and that is my gig bag. Something that I started doing was having a dedicated gig bag. A bag with everything I need in it to go and do my job as a sound engineer. Now, I'll admit this might seem like a bit of a luxury when you're just starting out, but hear me out. I've got a few reasons why it's really important that you have one of these or get one put together. And you don't need to start out by buying everything and buying everything really expensive. You can take these methods and processes and use them with whatever you have at hand, and you can build on it with time. So in this video, we'll talk about why I think it's really important that we have a gig bag, the bag that I'm using right now and why I love it, and everything that I keep in my gig bag. And you can pick and choose what you think is really valuable for you to have out of that. So without further ado, let's dive in. There's 3 reasons you should have a gig bag. And the first one is quality control. When you go to work as a sound engineer, there are a myriad of problems that you can run into, and you will run into them. Over time, you build up this sort of bank of problems in your head and possible solutions. It doesn't take long for you to be at work and go, oh man, I really wish I had a mini jack to XLR cable right now, because it's really important that we get the doors open and play music, but for some reason, no one has one. And when you have this bank of problems in your head, you can start building a bank of solutions to them, and you can put together the equipment that you need to really quickly have a solution to these problems. And then you don't just start solving your own problems, you start being the person who solves the problems. And that's really good for your reputation. And if you're working as a freelancer, or even if you're not, having a reputation as someone who gets the problem solved is a really great way to move further in your career, get more gigs, and generally enjoy being a sound engineer more. The second one, closely related to this, is consistency. Like I said, reputation is everything in this game. And when you're hired to make production work. And no matter what problems are popping up all over the place and whose fault these problems are, they become your problem when they start to jeopardize the production that you've been hired in to make a success. By having your consistent same toolkit with you on every show, you know that you have the tools with you to solve the problems and deliver that show. So in short, you can consistently deliver a good show no matter what problems come at you. And third one, potentially my favorite, is it's really, really convenient. Sometimes you get called on short notice and you have to run out the door and go to a gig. And it's really, really useful to be able to just grab that bag, know that everything is in it, and just head straight out the door. Again, these 3 points all link together. Your reputation as someone who turns up quickly and gets problems solved can get you more gigs and help your career further down the line. You take your bag with you, you unpack it when you're at work, and you pack it again at the end of your day. So you know that when that bag is at home, it's ready to go. So like I said, these are all related. And in short, having a gig bag allows you to easily and consistently run out the door at short notice and mix good quality shows. So now I get to introduce you to the bag that I'm using. This is my gig bag. It is the Strum by DB. And there's a few reasons I really like this. It's got loads of great compartments, but I'm going to show you the main selling point. That is, it opens right up like a clamshell. It's so easy to get all of the equipment in and out of this central compartment, right? It's a 20-litre backpack. I've no idea what that is in US measurements. 20 litres, maybe like, what's like 4 gallons? Do you guys even measure backpacks in that way? Let me know down below. It's got this big central area that I can use to store things. It's got a nice little back compartment here for a laptop, if you have a nice slim laptop, which I do not have, so never mind that. And on top of that, it's got loads of little compartments in here, you can see. And on the other side, on the top side here, you see as well, it's got these 3 compartments here that are zipped and they're netted. The net is like super useful for me because it means I can see what's in there before I go opening everything up and going, where is that USB stick that I need? I can look at it because I forget. I've got so much stuff in here, I forget what's in here. And as well as that, it's got this really convenient top compartment, which I keep like stuff that I need on short notice, like earplugs and things. So it's easy to pack and unpack. It's pretty rugged construction, so like I'm not too worried about it getting thrown on the floor a lot, and it fits everything I need. Now, I chose to get it in what they call sun bleached red. Basically, it's pink, which I'm a huge fan of, because sound engineers have everything in black, right? We've always got to wear black, we've got to be hidden at shows and that sort of thing. Everyone else has a black backpack, but my backpack is pink, so I never lose it. If I have to ask someone to grab my backpack, hey, can you get my backpack? Sure, no problem. Which one is it? It's the pink one. I get it, no problem. I've got a fun story about these DB guys. They're a Norwegian company. They used to actually be called douchebags. I worked at a conference with the founder or the marketing guy. He was seriously always talking about the brand douchebags. And as a native English speaker, this entertained me no end, because I was like, man, I cannot think of anyone going into shops and being like, yeah, do you guys have any douchebags? So unsurprisingly, they rebranded to DB backpacks. But now let's talk about what I've got in my bag. First thing I've got are headphones. These are Sennheiser HT25s. They're amazing. I love them. I've had them for about 7 or 8 years. They feel indestructible, but it's not a headphone review. So what do I use these for? Checking signals, discreetly checking microphones, communicating with the stage discreetly. You definitely have a pair of these. This is the first thing you should have. Next up, I have my laptop in there. So this is a Lenovo ThinkPad. It's refurbished, slightly older model. It's quite thick, you can see. But I mean, it's quite high spec and it does what I need it to do. I use this for everything from checking production plans to coordinating wireless frequencies, monitoring wireless mics, or measuring systems, taking measurements, monitoring sound pressure level, loads of stuff. This is another invaluable tool that I have. Buying a dedicated laptop that just lives in my gig bag. It wasn't expensive. It does everything I needed to. It's amazing. It was a game changer. Next up, I've got a Sound ID reference mic. This is just a measurement microphone. I use it with Smart to measure the SPL or measure the frequency response of sound systems. Really useful. Related to that is my Focusrite 2i2. I also use this with the microphone and Smart. It's super useful for other things as well, you know. It's really useful when someone turns up and suddenly they need to record their show and there's no way to do it on a USB. Midas Pro mixers, for example, you can just take a line out of the desk into one of these and record the show. It's worth saying that if someone turns up and says that at the last minute, you shouldn't have to say yes. But again, being the person who solves these kind of things gets you more work in the long run. Also really useful for when people want to do Zoom conferences and they haven't thought it through. And it's a great way to get the microphone back into their laptop so that the person on the conference call can hear them. I have a 2 meter long XLR female to jack male cable. This is great for getting those signals out of the mixer. The Focusrite that I have is not happy if you send a line level signal into the microphone input. So I need it to be on a jack. I have 2 XLR to a mini jack connection. Great for just playing back music, playing back stuff off of laptops. I would really like to have a passive stereo DI box and TRS connector to mini jack and go through that to, you know, protect the equipment a little better. Work in progress, right? I'll get there. I have an SPL calibrator for my measurement microphone. I like to measure the SPL it shows that I'm doing. It's really useful to have hard data if anyone wants you to make a change. If you have the hard data, you can tell them exactly how loud it was. So you need one of these if you want your measurements to actually be accurate. And also it's really good just for that consistency, you know, if you want to know if you're mixing louder one day than the next day. Zip ties, Sharpies, regular pens in there. You never know when you need to tie something up with a zip tie. You always need to make notes and write things down. So always have pens on you, especially Sharpies, and keep an eye on them. They disappear really easily. I have loads of black electrical tape. I also have white electrical tape. White is really good for labeling things, and the black is really discreet and great for taping up microphone cables. I have a pair of work gloves. You don't want to get your hands covered in beer on a stage after a festival or something. As well as that, give you really good grip when you're carrying heavy stuff, and keep your hands warm if you're working outside in the cold. In the top of the bag, I keep adapters from jack to mini jack, you know, just to go on the end of headphones. Because if you ever turn up without that little adapter, you're screwed. I also keep a USB stick. And on this, I keep show files for digital mixers so that I can get up and running really, really quickly. Music for testing out DJ equipment. I've got a bunch of adapter cables and USB cables and things, lightning connections, USB-C connections. New MacBooks don't have HDMI. Another really useful tool that I have is a laser distance measure. If you're running delay speakers, you just point it from where your delay speaker is to your main speakers, and then you get the distance, whack that in an equation, and you can work out the time. It's never 100% accurate, so you need to use your ears, obviously. Nowadays, I just do it with Smart, but this has been really useful. Last but not least, these always sit at the top of my bag, and it is my Leatherman Rev, just a multi-tool, pliers, it's got knife, it's got clippers, it's got screwdrivers. Absolutely invaluable. Can't believe I didn't have one of these guys before. Highly recommend getting one. Also, when you've got one of these, again, you're the person that solves the problems. Last but not least, earplugs. Alpine Hearing Protection Music Safe Pro. I love these guys. They're so good. They're like 25 decibels of sound reduction. At musical, you don't lose a lot of fidelity when you're listening to them. They're not too expensive. I think they cost like 30 euros, dollars. I don't know what costs you to use. They cost me like 300 kroner. You need to protect your hearing. Your hearing is so important. You really need to protect it. So get proper hearing protection. I'll give an honourable mention to this guy who's on the way out of my bag, a little handheld SPL meter. I cannot speak to how accurate it is, probably not very. It didn't cost a lot of money. It gives you data to show to people, which is a lot easier to communicate. So that was that for my gig bag. It's now sitting empty over there with all of the equipment on the floor. So I hope that you got some value out of me throwing my equipment all over the floor for you. It was certainly fun for me to talk about it. Do you have a gig bag? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Is there something you think I'm missing in mine? I'd love some suggestions from you if you've got some good ideas. I'll leave a link to the equipment that I have in my bag, as well as the bag, in case you want to check it out and build one yourself. Like I said, this is a work in progress. You know, you don't just put it all together one day. That bit by bit, you can add to it, and then before you know it, you've just got this highly functional thing. Check out the links down below in the comments. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.